Chapter 1: The Edge of Everything. The hull of the Argo trembled as it pierced through the last remnants of familiar space. Red warning lights flickered. Captain Marachen gripped the edge of her command chair, eyes fixed on the transdimensional scans unfurling across her screen. A swirling vortex filled the outside view, a black gap surrounded by 1,000 shimmering threads of light, stretching from infinity into oblivion. "Hold formation, Shale!" Mara barked, her voice steady but taut. Lieutenant Shale Oren responded, fingers flying over his console. "Grav stabilizers are at 90. We're skimming the event horizon. Any closer, and the ship's clock might start running backwards." A nervous chuckle cracked over the comms. It was Raj Patel, their lead physicist. "Let's avoid that. Lunch didn't taste good enough the first time to eat it twice." At the science stations, Dr. Mei Ling was already hunched over the quantum resonance scans. "Something out there is bending rules we haven't even written yet," she whispered. "I'm detecting organized energy patterns, a lattice structure near that planet." The planet they'd come to find, codename Horizon 1, loomed in the polarized feed, clouds that glimmered like crystal, continents patterned like fractals. Something not just alive, but aware, waited down there. Mara looked at her crew, misfits, dreamers, the best minds Earth could summon for a mission nobody else wanted. She forced a smile. "Prep the shuttle. We're going down." Shale swallowed hard. "Captain, the proximity to the black hole, any landing risks time dilation. If we're not careful, we might never come back. Or worse, come back 1,000 years later." Raj grinned, a flash of nerves under bravado. "We're standing at the edge of everything. Are we explorers or not?" May met Mara's gaze, determination burning through her fear. "Every great leap risks the fall, but we'll make this one count." As the shuttle disengaged from the Argo with a heavy clunk, Mara whispered a promise to herself and to the whole of humanity. "Whatever waits in the dark, we'll face it together." With engines humming and hearts racing, the crew dove toward the unknown, the black hole's whisper trailing in their wake like a dying star's wish. Chapter 2: The Lattice Below. The shuttle's heat shields glowed as Mara guided them through the stormy upper atmosphere. Jolts of electric purple lightning arced across the sky, fracturing reality itself, or so it seemed through the shifting haze. May's readings pulsed with data, each line more improbable than the last. "We're picking up massive energy surges," May announced. "Almost like the atmosphere's stitched with living current." Raj peered out, awestruck. "You can actually see the lattice grid. It's not just energy, it's geometry. Quantum geometry." Shale tensed at the controls. "We have turbulence coming up. Brace." The shuttle slewed sideways, gravity pressing them against their seats. Mara fought the stick, voice calm despite the chaos. "Focus, everyone. We've landed shuttles in worse." A titanic shape loomed ahead, a crystalline city rising from the planet's side, luminous towers spiraling in every impossible direction. Streets bent at angles the mind refused to follow. At its heart, a pulsing spire, flickering in and out of vision. "Set us down next to the city edge," Mara ordered. As the landing struts touched the glassy surface with a gentle hiss, Raj exhaled a shaky breath. "Still ticking. Okay, we didn't age backward. That's progress." May's gaze swept over her readings. "But time's different here. My chronometer's gaining seconds. Shale's is losing them." Shale flexed his fingers, clearly unnerved. "What's the plan, Captain?" "We find life," Mara replied. "If a civilization exists here, they're our best hope for answers. But nobody goes alone. Buddy system. We stick to tight protocols." Moving cautiously, the team stepped out into a world where color and form tangled with logic. The ground pulsed beneath their boots, as if the whole city thrummed with attention. Suddenly, an odd figure materialized from the lattice. A humanoid, its body woven from shifting light and glass. It spoke, though no words came, images and ideas pressed directly into their minds. Intrigued but wary, Mara stepped forward. "We're explorers. We come in peace. Can you help us?" The being's answer was a shimmering vision, of stars unraveling, timelines twisting, and humanity's lights snuffed out in a cascade of futures. Then a single branching thread, the chance to mend what must not break. Raj looked at his teammates, sweat beading at his brow. "Did anyone else feel that, or am I hallucinating already?" May nodded, voice hushed. "They're warning us. This place isn't just a mystery, it's a crossroads, and we just took the first step through." Chapter 3: Guardians and Gateways. The lattice being's body shimmered, shifting hues with every flicker of city light. It beckoned silently, leading the crew deeper into the crystalline labyrinth. "Stay sharp," Mara whispered, her hand hovering near her holster. "We don't know how these beings think." Shale, eyes darting to the endless spires, whispered back, "Captain, this place, it's not just alien. It messes with your sense of up and down." Mai studied a pulsing node in the crystalline street. "It's quantum. Reality here isn't fixed, it's probabilistic. Watch your step. We could walk into our own past if we're not careful." Raj's voice quivered with awe. "Feels like walking through the inside of an equation." At an archway of impossible geometry, the being halted. More figures emerged, each unique, refracting light and memory through their forms. A chorus of thoughts cascaded into the team's minds, piecing themselves into a concept all could understand. Guardians, protectors of the lattice, keepers of balance. Mara inhaled shakily. "Ask them about the danger, about the timelines." May reached out gently. "Why are timelines unraveling? Can it be stopped?" Visions flooded their senses. An ancient experiment, a civilization reaching beyond black hole's edge, harnessing volatility to master time's flow. Their triumph gave birth to a fractal intelligence, but also a wound deep in spacetime, a singularity growing unstable. Raj gasped. They broke their own reality. A guardian's thoughts pressed in. The wound threatens all. To mend it requires sacrifice and trust. Outsiders carry unpredictability. Paradox may be salvation or doom. The city beneath their feet shimmered as if bracing for a decision. A path appeared, lined by flickering symbols, some matching Earth's quantum mechanics, some utterly indecipherable. Shale steadied himself. "We're here because the universe needs an underdog's chaos, right?" Mara nodded, courage flickering in her voice. "Maybe our unpredictability is our strength." The guardians parted, allowing passage to the heart of the lattice. Beyond, darkness pulsed, a gateway into the black hole's fractured reality. "They're giving us a choice," May whispered. Mara's jaw set. "We go forward. Humanity may be small, but we don't back down." They stepped into the gateway, reality bending as fate bent with them, the first echoes of a cosmic trial just beginning. Chapter 4. Through the Paradox Gate. The moment the crew crossed the pulsing threshold, the world folded. Mara felt gravity invert, light fragmenting into colors she'd never seen before. For a heartbeat, every sound and thought overlapped. Her mother's voice, Argo's engines, the heartbeat of the universe, everything at once. Then clarity returned, but nothing was as it seemed. Shale staggered, catching himself on an impossible pillar that somehow felt like liquid and stone together. What is this place?" May's voice echoed twice, once in the present and once in a memory. "The inside of the wound. We're in the place between moments. The Guardians built this to keep the wound contained. Now it's failing." Raj's gaze locked on shifting vistas, fragments of possible futures, derelict Earths, victorious invasions, and one version of himself older, broken, and alone. If the wound gets bigger, every reality collapses together. How do we fix something this cosmic? A guardian, now fractured and less defined, appeared at their side. Images flooded in, of a lattice core, a node holding the tangled timeline in place, ready to snap. To reset the core, a paradox was needed, an act that stepped outside logic. Something impossible, yet true. Mara stepped up, voice steady even as her mind spun. "Give us a way in, or at least a clue." The Guardian's aura rippled. To heal the wound, embrace uncertainty, surrender control, act in faith against all reason. Shale frowned. "That's it? Our instructions are, trust the impossible?" Raj snorted, half amused, half panicked. "We're scientists, not mystics, but maybe that's why we're here." May placed a hand on the captain's shoulder. "Perhaps it's our unpredictability, our stubborn hope that gives us power here." Mara nodded slowly. "If our next step can rewrite fate, then we need to do something nothing would ever expect." A corridor of twisting probability unfolded before them. Fears and memories rushed past. Childhood dreams, regrets, near misses. The only way forward was through uncertainty itself. "Together," Mara said, her voice ringing out in every possible future. "We do this together." They advanced as a unit, toward the thrumming core of Paradox, where the fate of all timelines would soon hang by a single, trembling thread. Chapter 5. The Loom of Fate. As they walked deeper, the corridor shimmered with each step, memories blending with possibilities. Mara suddenly found herself holding the ragged badge from her first mission, Then it melted into a vision of her lost brother, alive, calling her name from the shadows. "Don't stop!" Shale yelled, grabbing her arm. He too was trembling. For a moment, a much older Shale flashed beside him, bitter, hollow-eyed, warning him to turn back. May's voice broke through the surreal haze. "It's the paradox. It's drawing out the pieces of us that could have been. For us to win here, we have to embrace what might have happened, but choose what happens now." Raj, fighting tears, muttered, "I never said goodbye to my father. He's here too, every regret, every lost chance." Yet he straightened, a fragile pride entering his eyes. "If this is the test, it means we still have a choice." The path twisted, widening into a chamber that pulsed with pure probability. At its center spun the lattice core, a sphere interlaced with ghostly images. Thousands of Argo crews, infinite Earths, all stacked and whirling, almost too much to bear. Just beyond, the fractured Guardians hovered, their forms destabilizing. An urgent thought pressed into the crew's minds. Act before the core splinters. Reality is unraveling. Time is short. Mara took a trembling breath. She thought of quitting once, right before joining the Argo project. How different the universe might have been. If none of this is fixed, then the only way out is through action, risking everything, even our own timelines, she announced. Shale unclasped a digital medallion, holding it out as if for courage. "We can do this, Captain. We must." May moved toward the core, her own regrets swirling about her like moths. "We unite, one intention, one hope. That's the only paradox they couldn't predict." Raj slid in beside them. "No grand equations, just us, humans being human." All four clasped hands, their atoms tingling as the lattice's heartbeat surged. The core pulsed brighter, recognizing not calculation but connection, the leap of faith that defies destiny. The Guardians wavered as if rooting for the underdogs now. From within the core a light beckoned, a place for their impossible choice. Time fractured. The final trial began. Chapter 6, The Leap. A wave of dizzying probability rushed over the crew. The core's lights swelled, washing the chamber in shimmering hues. Every Argo, every crew, every world flashed before their eyes, each outcome and every failure. Time split. Mara saw herself surrendering, turning away, returning to Earth, and leaving the universe's wound to fester. But she gritted her teeth. "No! We choose to stand!" Shale saw the Argo torn apart, saw himself lost to the void, but he stepped forward, his faith in the team burning through. "I fight for my future." Raj watched his alternate selves, some bitter and broken, others triumphant but alone. He reached for company, squeezing the other's hands tight. "I'd rather fall together than win alone." May, trembling as 1,000 versions of herself flickered by, heard her mother's gentle whisper, the one who always believed May would change the world. May squared her shoulders. "We're more than our mistakes. This is our moment." The core shimmered in approval, its swirling energy slowing. The Guardians, although flickering and hazy, pressed a message into the team, an emotion. Hope, wild and unexpected. Suddenly, cracks laced the core. The wound in reality fought back, clawing at the chamber with waves of paradox. The crew staggered, barely keeping their grip. From the rising chaos, a new specter emerged, a being torn of pure entropy, formed from the failed timelines. Its presence was smothering, cold and relentless. Raj gasped. "It's the wound itself, alive!" The entropic form lashed out, shattering probability paths and throwing each crew member into their worst fear. Mara found herself alone, Argo destroyed. Shale relived his worst loss, the death of his sister. Raj drowned in regret, and May was trapped, forgotten by all. But this time, something changed. Mara's voice cut through the darkness. "We're still here, even together in the nightmare. We won't let go." She seized May's hand across the void. Shale braced Raj, and the core pulse sparked, amplified by unity. The specters shrieked, weakened as their courage spread like a signal through the entire fractured chamber. Mara roared, "We make the impossible choice, together!" In a single motion, they hurled themselves and their hopes into the core. Light exploded in 1,000 directions. The final resolution awaited on the other side, but for the first time, it was one they could shape. Chapter 7, Rewriting the Path. When the glare receded, Mara blinked. The core's energy still thrummed, but now its lattice pattern reshaped itself with every heartbeat. The team hovered between worlds, suspended in a living equation, every possibility unfurling and fading like breath on a mirror. Raj was the first to speak, his voice reverent. "Look, we're inside the decision. Every timeline, every hope and fear, they're all here. Shale examined the shifting matrix around them, then reached out as though to touch a thread. This is the paradox, isn't it? Not just cause and effect, but trust and chance. Our lives matter because they're unpredictable. May pointed to the fractal patterns spiraling out from the lattice. I see echoes. Choices humans made that no other species would. Sacrifice, forgiveness, stubborn hope. That's what the Guardians couldn't foresee. It's our wild card. Across the core, the entropic form still writhed, but its power had weakened. With every act of connection, every stubborn refusal to give up, the wound in the universe pinched closed, rebuilding itself into something new. The Guardians' voices, clearer now, rippled through their minds like a gentle tide. Balance restored only if pattern holds. Choose your anchor, lock a hope into the lattice, and possibility will heal. Mara looked at her friends, then at the endless futures churning around them. What if we pledge something the universe can't predict, a human promise, to keep trying no matter the outcome? May smiled gently. To forgive ourselves even if we fall short. Shale nodded. To stand by each other even in despair. Raj added, to share the burden, because no one should face the darkness alone. The core began to pulse with each vow, stabilizing, the probabilities bending in their favor. A single thread became clear, a restored timeline, not perfect, but whole. The Argo's silhouette shone in the lattice, representing hope born from chaos. Suddenly, reality shook. The entropic form gathered itself for a final assault, a storm of broken futures surging through the core. The challenge wasn't finished yet. The underdogs had to defend their promise against despair itself. Mara planted her feet and faced the encroaching darkness. We made our choice. Now we'll fight for it, together until the timeline is yours, ours, and everyone's. As the storm hit, the crew braced themselves for a struggle like no other, against the ultimate consequence, oblivion or rebirth. Chapter 8. The Last Stand at the Quantum Frontier. They stood at the eye of the storm, the crew's promises glowing like beacons in the tangled web of possibility. Lightning made of broken futures cracked around them. Every time doubt rose, it lashed out, trying to drive them apart. The entropic form bore down, its shape shifting into the crew's deepest fears. For Mara, it became her brother's haunted face, blaming her. To Shale, it was a crushed Argo drifting through dark space. May saw herself erased from memory. Raj, an endless loop of failure and loss. Mara's voice rang out, shaken but defiant. This is what the wound wants, to divide us. But we decide who we are. May grabbed Mara's hand. We're not our regrets, we're the future we create. Shale and Raj reached for each other, bracing their circle as the form lashed at their unity. We hold, Shale shouted. No matter what. The Guardians appeared in the lattice, their forms more stable now, projecting a surge of strength into the humans. Your unity mends the paradox. Resilience is the final variable. Endure and possibility survives. The entropic form shrieked, 1,000 voices in one. It hurled a torrent of broken outcomes, swamping Mara in loneliness, May in self-doubt, Shale in guilt, Raj in grief. But leaning on each other, the crew remembered every moment of grit and defiance that got them here. Mara forced herself to speak out, every word anchoring reality. For every nightmare, there's a future we claim. The promise stands, because we make it stand. A bright seam split the darkness as their unified defiance blazed through the core. The form wailed, dissolving as the tremors faded. Timelines spun back together, damaged but healing, and the wound at the center of reality began to close, the risk of total collapse ebbing. For the first time, hope surged, not just as a feeling, but as a quantum force. The core expanded and steadied, the Guardians smiling in silent pride. Yet all was not over. Even as the storm faded, the crew saw fragments of threat survive, future rifts, new wounds possible if care was not taken. Breathless, battered, but united, Mara turned to her friends. We did it, but the quantum horizon is bigger than us. The next step is not just survival, but learning. Protecting every future, not just our own. The crew exchanged determined glances. Together they stepped forward, knowing their fight had changed the universe, but their journey was far from finished. Chapter 9. Ripples across infinity. As calm returned to the lattice chamber, the Guardians hovered, their forms now solid and radiant, their gratitude echoing through the crew's minds. The fabric holds, they projected, but every action echoes in eternity. You must carry what you've learned back to your people. The wound is healed, but vigilance is demanded, forever. Mara nodded, lingering on the promise they'd forged. We'll build a future where every timeline matters, not just for humanity, but for all who struggle at the edge of the unknown. Raj glanced outside the shifting lattice, watching images of infinite futures realign. What if another wound forms? What if someone isn't strong enough to unite as we did? Then we leave them a map, Shale said, hope rising in his tone. A record of how we survived what was impossible. Not a rule book. Something that invites courage, not just obedience. May stood taller, a new resolve kindling in her. It's not the technology that makes us powerful. It's what we're willing to risk, and who we're willing to become when we're tested. The Guardians opened a safe passage through the lattice, quantum filaments unwinding, guiding the crew back toward their own reality. But as they crossed, each sensed a change within. Mara's leadership firm but now tempered by empathy. Shale's fear replaced with the quiet strength of someone who'd faced oblivion and chosen hope. May's scientific brilliance sharpened by compassion. Raj's vulnerability forged into deep wisdom. The city outside was changed too. The lattice vibrated with renewed harmony, its towers shining brighter, not cold and alien, but touched by humanity's paradoxical presence. Before stepping through, Mara addressed the Guardians one last time. We'll be stewards, not just explorers. If the day comes when the horizon darkens again, we'll be ready, and we'll make sure no one has to face it alone. The Guardians bowed, their light mingling with the core's pulse. Go now. Carry the quantum seed of unity. Change is inevitable, but so is hope. With a final blinding shimmer, the Argo crew found themselves aboard their shuttle, scarred but reborn, the knowledge of the lattice burning in their hearts. Outside, the black hole pulsed quietly, its mysteries preserved. For now, the wound was sealed. But as the Argo's engines hummed back to life and the galaxy beckoned, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they had only glimpsed the beginning of humanity's dance at the quantum horizon. In the distance, something shifted, subtle, uncertain, a reminder that every choice still rippled across infinity. The journey home would test them in new ways, demanding all the courage they'd gained on the edge of forever. Chapter 10. Horizons Unbound. As the Argo's engines roared back to life, Mara looked around the shuttle's cabin. The weight of their experience pressed in, their faces older, their eyes sharper, as if they carried 1,000 lifetimes in a single mind. None of them spoke for a moment. They were lost in the echo of all they had seen and survived. Finally, Shale broke the silence. Do you think anyone will believe us when we get home? Everything we did, all that we became? May's answer was quiet, but strong. They'll have to, not because of the science, but because of the change in us. We've seen what it means to be human at the edge of everything. Raj checked the navigation systems, confidence easing the corners of his mouth. We didn't just save worlds, we learned how to build them, together. The Guardians' final words stirred within them. Unity, vigilance, hope. The quantum seed that pulsed in their memories was not just a story, but a responsibility. As they left the planet's orbit, the black hole now a calm abyss in the shuttle's rear sensors, the crew spotted signals flaring from Horizon 1. The city shimmered, sending rhythmic pulses, an ongoing communication, a promise that the bond forged would never truly end. Think anyone else will attempt the crossing? Mara mused, hands steady on the controls. I hope they do, Shale replied. Because if they do, it means they're daring to dream, even if it risks everything. The view ahead was breathtaking. The galaxy, once a frontier, now felt like a network of infinite crossroads, every choice and act rippling across spacetime. The Argo, transformed by paradox, powered by hope, soared toward home, carrying a luminous thread that would one day weave new futures. May leaned closer to the viewport, heart pounding with anticipation. We have so much to teach, to warn, to inspire, not just about science, but about what it takes to stand together against the unknown. Raj nodded, voice soft but sure. Let's make sure no one stands on the brink alone again. A solemn promise, spoken by 4 souls who'd glimpsed infinity and decided to face it, not with fear, but with each other. The Argo faded into the stars, vanishing toward a future forever remade by the leap they dared to take. Above the horizon, the black hole watched silently. Somewhere within, a spark of human hope now flickered. Timeless, resilient, the echo of underdogs who changed everything simply by standing together at the edge of the universe.